How we doing, everybody? Now, today I'm going to talk about the night that I beat Anderson Silva, the long-time reigning UFC middleweight champion of the world, and one of the greatest martial artists that has ever graced this planet. Anderson Silva was one of the best. He defended the belt, I think it was 12 times, would have been 13 if Travis Lutter didn't miss weight. The way that he did it, the way he was so calm and composed, the knockouts that he delivered, the front kicks to Vitor Belfort, the up elbows in cage rage, everything that Anderson Silva did inside the octagon, I was a massive fan of. But I always wanted to fight him. When I won the Ultimate Fighter in 2006, a couple of days later, I was sitting there ringside with my wife and I saw Anderson Silva destroy Chris Lieben. After that, he went and fought Rich Franklin, dominated him, smashed his nose all over the place and became champion of the world. And that is when one of the greatest runs that the sport has ever seen, if not the greatest run that the sport has ever seen, started. And I always wanted to fight him, and people always said I was absolutely crazy. Bisping can't beat him, he's not good enough, he's not strong enough, he can't wrestle, he doesn't punch hard enough, he's not as good. Simple as that. That's what everybody said, and it drove me fucking crazy. All I wanted to do was fight him and prove to the world that I could always beat him. Listen, I always had great self-belief in my fighting ability, and on top of that, I thought my style could beat Anderson Silva. Listen, when you're dealing with Anderson Silva, a man that is a fantastic kickboxer, but he likes range. He likes to maintain a certain distance from his opponent so he can use his full bag of tricks. He also uses the mind. The mind is a huge weapon. Anderson Silva mocks his opponents, he taunts his opponents, he belittles his opponent, and he does it all in the ring. So coming into that fight, I had to be very, very careful. I had to make sure that my body, my physical preparation was on point, but also the mental prep. Now, initially, I was supposed to fight Gegard Mousasi in London at the O2 Arena, but Christmas Eve 2015, I get a phone call from Dana White. And I'm like, oh shit, Dana's calling. You know what I mean? He doesn't normally call to wish me a happy birthday. He is the man. He's a great friend. And I have enjoyed greatly working with him for the last 15, 16 years now. But typically he doesn't call me on Christmas Eve. So I'm like, oh, this is weird. I look at the phone. I answer. He says, Mike, plans have changed. We would like you now to face Anderson Silva. I said 100%. He said, Merry Christmas, brother. And that was that. I was fighting Anderson Silva. Now, going into that fight, at that time, I'd never fought for the belt. And I didn't think I was ever going to get a chance to. Of course, now everybody knows I only had one eye, one functioning eye. At the time, that was a big secret. I was doing everything I could to still make it to the fight, still lying to everybody, doing everything I could to still be the champion, to still fight, still provide a living for my family. So I looked at this fight against Anderson Silva. This is my world title fight. If I can go out there and beat Anderson Silva at the O2 Arena in London, the nation's capital, right? One of the greatest cities in the world. For me, that's as good as a world title fight. So I left no stone unturned in the preparation. I did everything I could. I followed my diet more stricter than ever. You know, typically, you know, I'd have a couple of cheeky glasses of wine here and there. Cut all of that stuff out. I had a mobility coach, I had a stretching coach coming round, working on me, stretching me out, because I wanted to be as loose and as fast, as nimble as possible. Because as I said, for me, I didn't think I'd ever fight for a world title. This was it. This was a chance to prove all the critics wrong. Because everyone said, Bisping, great fighter, but he can never win the big ones. And this was certainly a big one. So, leading up to this fight, I had to do everything I could to strip this man down, physically and mentally, right? I'm a fan of Anderson Silva. I think everyone watching this is a fan of Anderson Silva, the career that he had, the knockouts that he showed, the submissions also, and just how humble he was, how he carried himself. It's impossible not to be a fan, but I could not allow myself to go into that octagon looking at Anderson Silva as the man, the myth, the legend, the long-time middleweight champion of the world, the man that wowed audiences all over the world. I couldn't do that, because if I did that, I would be giving him too much respect and I would not fight to the best of my ability. So that is where trash talk comes in. Listen, I hate that term. It is extremely cringe, right? But what I did in that trash talk, for want of a better expression, the shit talk, the whatever you want to call it. I hate it. They call it trash talk though, but there you go. We'll go with that. I'm stripping him down. I'm taking him off his pedestal. I can't allow myself to look at him up there on a pedestal as the great Anderson Silva. Nah, I've got to strip him down, right? The fight that he just had prior, a couple of years before we fought, was against Nick Diaz, right? And he won that fight, but he tested positive for steroids. So therefore, I latched on.
Don't worry. All your life on steroids.
to the fact that he tested positive for steroids, and that was all the ammunition that I needed. I claimed that he was on steroids throughout the entirety of his career. Who knows, maybe he was. I'm going to say that he wasn't, okay? At that point, only Chris Weidman had beaten him. You know, a lot of people say, oh, Bisping, you fought Anderson Silva when he wasn't in his prime. Well, Chris Weidman was the only person to beat him, and he was messing around and got caught with that left hook. And then sadly after that in the rematch, he snapped his leg. So Weidman did beat him, you know, but it wasn't because, you know, he was out hustled in that fight. But a win's a win. I'm not taking away from what Chris Weidman did. The point I'm making is that for me, in my mind, I'm like, this is still Anderson Silva. This is still a dangerous Anderson. And by the way, if you want to talk about you want to talk about being in your prime, what about me? I was 37 years old and I had one fucking guy. Okay, people always say, oh, he never fought him in his prime. You think I was in my prime? I was not in my prime. Anyway, I had a tremendous training camp. We flew out there to London with me and my team, and I was very, very excited to go head-to-head with Anderson Silva. Now, when the fight started, I walked out. I remember I was draped in the Union Jack, and I felt so much pressure. Listen, the pressure normally comes because, you know, you haven't prepared. If you haven't prepared, if you haven't done the miles, you haven't stuck to your diet, you haven't done the sparring, you haven't done all those things, you're going to feel pressure in a fight. I had done all of those things. But to me, I felt pressure because here was me, potentially the last time ever at the O2 Arena in London, representing my country, showing the world how good I can be. And as I said before, showing that I was a great fighter. Not good. Not just a good fighter that wasn't capable of winning the big ones. A fighter that certainly wasn't capable of winning all the fights. Okay? So I walk out there. I'm feeling good, but I'm nervous, you know. Round one starts and Anderson's doing his usual thing. You know, he's dancing around. He's being hard to get. You know, and there's a feeling out process. We got 5 rounds. We're not rushing it. I'm throwing my jabs. I'm throwing a few side kicks to the legs. Things like that. Nothing particularly of note landed. Nothing too hard. He hit me a couple of times. I landed a few on him. And then right at the end of the first round, he swarmed on me, came over, got a little bit aggressive. Boom, I caught him with a left hook. He kind of wobbled. He had to touch the canvas with his hand to remain upright. And then boom, the round ended. And what happened here, we saw the first of Anderson Silva's, the great Anderson Silva, the legendary Anderson Silva, coming with the mind games, right? Because at the end of the round, Anderson walks over to me, tries to embrace me as if to say, oh, good for you, Michael. Oh, you landed a glove on the great Anderson Silva. Wow. Wow, good for you. Wow, you're really doing this, huh? Trying to condescend me, trying to patronize me, trying to say, look at you. Wow, Mike, good for you, buddy. You managed to land a glove on me. And I was like, nah, mate, don't play those fucking games with me. Boom, pushed him, fuck off. Until we're done, you are my enemy. And at the end of that round, when it was all said and done, according to the numbers, I landed 17 of 50 strikes and Anderson landed 8 of just 16. So a close round, but I landed more. I landed the big significant blow. So if you ask me, I was up round 1. All right, real quick, I want to tell you about I Trust Capital. By now, we've all heard about cryptocurrencies, but did you know that you can invest in cryptocurrencies while also saving for your IRA, and more specifically, your retirement? That's right, with I Trust Capital, you can buy and sell cryptocurrencies in a crypto IRA and get all the same tax advantages. So it's time to start taking control of your financial future with I Trust Capital and get all the tax benefits of a retirement account while investing in crypto. Now, as a special offer to my listeners, I Trust Capital is giving away a $100 funding reward when you sign up at itrust.capital/Bisping. Okay, when you sign up, you get tax-free trading, no sign-up fees, no monthly fees, and now $100. Start investing with iTrust Capital today at itrust.capital/Bisping or hit that link in the episode description down below. So, of course, after round 1, I'm feeling good. You know, I'm settling into my groove. I've landed a few shots. I had a big moment at the end of round 1. And I wasn't allowing Anderson to own the territory, to dominate the cage mentally and physically. You know, as I say, he tried to play that mind game and I shoved him off. Going into round 2, I was in a good place. I was getting into my rhythm. I actually landed 24 out of 66 strikes. Anderson only landed 11 of 25. And the main one that landed in the middle of a wild exchange, Anderson got a little sloppy, left his chin up in the air and one of the hands down. Boom, left hook. Boof, he goes down. I was like, oh shit. Anderson hits the deck. And here's how good Anderson Silva is, right? The man is just an absolute ninja. As he hits the floor, I rush down to go with a ground and pound onslaught. And as he's just been dropped and hits the canvas, as I'm coming in, boom, sticks a little up kick in my face. I mean, you know, come on, listen, credit where credit's due and style points where style points are due. That was cool. Anyway, I land in his guard, boom, boom, boom. Start landing heavy ground and pound, a lot of good shots. Puts me firmly in control of that fight, and that is where round 2 ended. So, going into round 3, I'm in a good place. I'm like, wow, we're really doing this. Perillo's there giving me advice. The crowd is going crazy. I can feel the energy. I can feel the atmosphere. Man, I miss being in the octagon. But listen, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, round 3, same again. We'll go out there and we'll just continue doing what we're doing. And I think it was round 3. I might be wrong here, but we saw Anderson try some of his old tricks again. Remember when he fought Stephan Bonner? He just backed up against the fence. He just leaned against the fence in a completely defenseless posture. And Stephan Bonner, bless him, he was throwing shots and Anderson's like a fucking sniper. He's dodging. He's making a fool out of Stephan Bonner. That's what he's doing there, right? And then when he was ready, he fires back with his own shots. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to let you stand there with your hands by your side in a completely defenseless posture, acting like that. That is embarrassing to me. So I take a step back. I put my hands down by the side of my waist. I'm like, when you fight, I'll fight. And then he comes forward and, boom, there we go. We're back on. Now, the fight's progressing. Anderson's being more aggressive. He probably senses that he's behind on the judges' scorecards. He's trying to get a tie clinch or whatever. And in the middle of the action, the melee, whatever, my mouthpiece gets knocked out, right? Now, this is what happens. You all know what's coming up. It's the big flying knee moment. So it's round 3. I'm backing up. Mouthpiece comes out, right? There needs to be a lull in the action. I know the rules, but I'm backing up. Anderson's coming forward, but we're not engaging. We're not throwing any strikes. In my mind, that's a lull in the action. So, but I made a mistake here because you've got to defend yourself at all times. And I hold my hand up to that. It's not Herb Dean's fault. I turn to Herb Dean and I say, hey, Herb, I point down at the floor, my mouthpiece. Now, things to remember. I don't see out of this eye, as you know. So when I turn there, right, my hand there, I can't see my hand. That doesn't exist to me. So therefore, Anderson didn't exist. So I'm here doing that. And then when I look back, whoa, shit, Anderson Silva's in midair. Boof! Hits me. I hit the deck. As I hit the deck, bam, the round ends. So Herb Dean jumps in, right? Anderson Silva, in his mind, he thinks he's dropped me. He's knocked me out because he's put me down and then Herb Dean stepped in, okay? But it was the end of the round. Anderson runs off. He jumps on top of the cage. He's celebrating all the rest of it. I'm led on the floor in a crumpled mess. I look up at Herb Dean. I'm like, I'm not out, Herb. And that's literally what I said. If you watch the fight, you'll see it. And we're having a dialogue. A lot of people like to claim, oh, Bisping was unconscious. He was knocked out, but then he still came to win. How the fuck am I having a conversation if I was unconscious? You know what I mean? Just ask yourself that question. Anyway, so I'm led there. I mean, I was fucking hurt though, let's be honest. And I'm led there like this. I look up at Herb. I say, hey, Herb, I'm not done. Sorry, I'm not out. And he says, I know, fight's still on. So slowly but surely, I climb my way up. And Anderson's opened up. The knee hit me square in the face. Opened up a cut here, a cut there, a cut there. Added lots of new scars to this once upon a time pretty face that I have. Blood shooting everywhere, right? And I mean, I was leaking blood all over the place. When I get back to my feet, the roar of the crowd, I will never forget it. And in the ring, absolute pandemonium was taking place. Anderson's up on the fence. He's celebrating. The officials are trying to pull him down and say, no, the fight's still going on. The cutman didn't actually get in because the commission, they were kind of confused as to what was going on. They were seeing Anderson celebrating. They thought the fight was over. So my cutman never got to clean up my cuts and make it all good. But anyway, round 4 started and I will never forget this. The roar of the O2 Arena. And that's why when people say, fighting at home, is it a gift or a curse, or does it even matter? For some people, it doesn't matter. But for me, when I went out there in round 4, the roar of the O2 Arena, packed house, sold out, 20,000 people, it was insane. Now, the blood was just firing everywhere, leaking everywhere. I could hardly see. I've only got one eye. I was there, but I'm like, okay, I haven't come this far. I have not enjoyed this amount of damage. I'm not standing here in round 4 to go home. If you're going to have to stop me, you're going to have to knock me out unconscious and take me out of here on a stretcher. So I'm going forward. I can't really see. Blood's going in my eye. It's all red. I'm wiping the blood out, but I'm still pushing forward. I back Anderson up against the fence. Boom, boom, boom. Putting together long combinations, using head movement, lots of feints. Feints were a key in this fight. Lots of feints, keeping Anderson guessing. Boom, boom, boom. Putting together lots of combinations. And And amazingly, at the end of round 4, I'd won that round as well. If you look at the stats here, I had landed 21 of 62 strikes and Anderson landed 18 of 32. So not a big margin, but obviously a much higher output from me, 62 to 32, and I landed 21 to 18. So now I'm up rounds 1, round 2, and round 4. Anderson certainly got round 3 because even though I was winning on the scorecards, he dropped me badly in round 3. So going into round 5, there was a lot to play for here for the Spider because he's like, hold on a minute. Maybe he did underestimate me. Maybe he did, and that's his problem. Rule number 1, never underestimate your opponent. Certainly a one-eyed madman fighting in his hometown. So I went out there in round 5, and Anderson came hard in this one. Jesus Christ. I think he knew that he needed a knockout, and he added a few more scars to me. Hit me in the face with a front kick that he knocked out Vitor Belfort with. There was another flying knee. There was some creative striking. There was a nice little back fist. He was doing all this Filipino boxing bullshit, you know what I mean? Giving all this, and some of it worked. Some of it landed, some of it added some new hardware to my face, as I said. Round 5, I landed 18 of 58, and he had landed 19 of 35. So I was busier, but Anderson certainly had the more effective strikes. He was looking for big power shots, whereas I was using fundamental boxing, side kicks, low kicks to the leg, inside low kicks, few head kicks here and there. When the fight was all said and done, in terms of stats, I landed 108 of 316, and I had 2 knockdowns. Anderson Silva landed 75 of 135. And he scored 1 knockdown. Now, I'll never forget this. I'm standing there in the O2 Arena. My face is black and blue. It's leaking blood everywhere. And a lot of people always point to that and say, well, hold on a minute. When you look at Anderson Silva's face and you look at your face, right, you look like you've been mangled and he looks okay, right? I mean, he had a few bumps and bruises and a bust lip and a little bit of blood here and there. But I looked terrible. But you got to remember, that was from 1 strike alone. The flying knee opened me up majorly. You know, there was a few other little ones here and there, but that was the main one. So I'm standing there and I'm thinking, come on, please. And I know a lot of people, I see it all the time. I see the comments. They say, Bisping, you did not deserve to win that fight. Anderson Silva won that fight. No, he didn't. I landed more shots. I won more rounds. It was 3 rounds to 2 in my humble opinion. Also, fortunately, in the judge's opinion. I'll never forget it when they raised my hand there. I had a bottle of water in my other hand. I was up here. The water went down all over my face and it felt so good. For me, that was my crowning moment, my biggest achievement. Every single minute of every day I'd spent in the gym, running, hitting pads, all the rest of it, all boiled down to that moment. And I refused to be beat that night. Unfortunately, it was just enough to get the job done. Now, when the fight was over, it's all said and done. Nothing but respect. Anderson Silva is one of the best, still is one of the best, one of the best ever, one of the GOATs, simple as that. And I have tremendous respect. So I had to make that clear. Oh, and here's another point as well, which I forgot earlier. You know, at the start of the fight, and this is true, at the start of the fight when we square up for the main event, I shook his hand and I said, good luck. I said fucking good luck, which is crazy. But when I said good luck to him, what I meant was, hey, good luck. May the best man win, right? And hopefully we get to go home to our families at the end of this with no serious injuries. That's what I meant when I said good luck. I didn't mean good luck, I hope you win. I mean, hey, we're going to throw it down as gentlemen here. Good luck to you. And afterwards, the respect was there. You know, we both got on our knees and showed our respect to one another. It's Anderson Silva, for crying out loud. How do you not have respect? Then I got very emotional. Do you know what I mean? Because I put my heart and soul into that fight. Might have been a few tears, okay. Went down to see my wife. She was down there in the crowd and my mum was there as well. They both bought some nice new clothes. I still get shit from my mum today because she says, Michael, that nice new jacket that you bought me, you got blood all over it, God's sake, you wee bastard, you. I'm like, Mum, I'm leaking blood all over my face. I'm trying to give you a hug. I gave my wife a kiss and that was that. And then afterwards, I was backstage, I was getting my face all stitched up and I'm in like a medical section and we got these towels next to us. Not towels, like, shutters, blinds, curtains. There you go. Got these like curtains around me. And Anderson Silva is in the next one over to me as well. And I opened up the thing, I could see it was Anderson. I reached over, we shook hands. But yeah, that was it. At the end of all that, when it was all said and done, I defeated Anderson Silva. One of the biggest wins of my career and a night I will never, ever forget. So anyway, that is how I beat Anderson Silva. Now after that, I went off to Rome. I went to Prague for a few days. I went to Rome for a few days. And I got into a very, very different type of adventure. But that story will be told another day. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Subscribe and ring the bell. Lots more content coming your way soon.